So we are in Bhadrasvarsha, headed by the ruler Bhadrasva, devotee of the Lord, son of Dharmaraj. And his Ishtadev, Lord Hayashivsha. And what we are reading are the prayers of Dharmaraj to Hayashivsha, Lord Hayashivsha. Takes 2, 3, and 4 once again. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the royal of all religious principles, who cleanses the heart of the conditioned soul in this material world. Again and again, we offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Alas, how wonderful is it that the foolish materialist does not heed the great danger of impending death. He knows that death will surely come, yet he is nonetheless callous and neglectful. If his father dies, he wants to enjoy his father's property. If his son dies, he wants to enjoy his son's possessions as well. In either case, he heedlessly tries to enjoy material happiness with the acquired money. One, learned Vedic scholars who are advanced in spiritual knowledge certainly know that this material world is perishable, as do other logicians and philosophers. In trance, they realize the factual position of this world and they reach the truth as well. Yet, even they are sometimes bewildered by your illusory energy. This is your own wonderful pastime. Therefore, I understand that your illusory energy is very wonderful. And I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. And then let's dive into the text today. Text 5. Vishodhavasthana niroti karmati ayyakarturangi api apatritaha yuktam na chitram tvaikarni सर्वात्मनि व्यतिरिक्तेश वस्तुतः
मनी व्यतिरिक्त
Oh Lord, although you are completely detached from the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this material world, and are not directly affected by these activities, they are all attributed to you. We do not wonder at this, for your inconceivable energies perfectly qualify you to be the cause of all causes. You are the active principle in everything, although you are separate from everything. Thus, we can realize that everything is happening because of your inconceivable energy. Because the Supreme Lord is the inconceivable cause of all causes. And everything which is happening is attributed to the Supreme Lord by the power of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, we have to understand that when we are reciprocating in our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, we are actually not acting on the causal plane. But we are acting at the fountainhead of all the causal planes. So therefore, everything will work out if we can simply repair and reciprocate and revive that relationship with the Supreme Lord. And this is what is called as faith. Shraddha Shabda Vishwasakam Sudrida Nishcha Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita. Simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord, all activities will reach to perfection and success. How it works out? It works out by the power of the Lord because He is inconceivable. And by the grace and powers of the Lord, everything inconceivably moves ahead. Vedan yugante tamasante raskritani ratarana yone raturaka vigraha pratyajate maikavaye viyachate tasmai namaste vikate hitaya iti. At the end of the millennium, ignorance personified as seen in the form of a demon stole all the Vedas and took them down to the planets of the Rasatala. The Supreme Lord, however, in his form of Hayagriva, retrieved the Vedas and returned them to Lord Brahma when he begged for them. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, whose determination never fails. Although Vedic knowledge is imperishable, within this material world, it is sometimes manifest and sometimes not. When the people of this material world become too absorbed in ignorance, the Vedic knowledge disappears. Lord Hayagriva or Lord Matsya however, always protects the Vedic knowledge. And in due course of time, it is again distributed through the medium of Lord Brahma. Brahma is a trustworthy representative of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, when he again asks for the treasure of Vedic knowledge, the Lord fulfills his desire. Therefore, we see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna himself, is the Adi Guru, who is acting the platform of the spiritual master to again and again remind the living entity of this great transcendental knowledge of the Vedas. So the proclivity of the living entity is to keep forgetting and slipping up. But the heart of the Supreme Lord is oceanic, owing to which the Supreme Lord comes again and again, directly and through his representatives, the Acharyas, to again and again give us this divine supreme knowledge. So here we see in the case of the demon stealing the Vedas, at Hayagriva appear. And the case of the universal destruction, wherein the Vedas also could have been destroyed, the Lord Matsya who revived the saintly king Satyavrat Muni along with the knowledge of Vedas. Let's read further. This is text 7. Harivarshi chapi Bhagavan Naragari Vinashte Nadarupa Grahana Nimittam Uttaradraditasya Tadaitam Rupam Mahapurusha Gunabhajano Bhagavato Daityadana Tirthikarnashil Charita Prahalado Vyavadhanananya Bhakti Yogena Saha Tadvarsha Purushe Rupaste Idam Chodharati. Translation. Sukadev Goswami continued, my dear king, Lord Narasimhadev resides in the tranquil land known as Harivarsha. In the seventh canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, I shall describe to you how Prahlad Maharaj caused the Lord to assume the form of Narasimhadev. Prahlad Maharaj, the topmost devotee of the Lord, is a reservoir of all the good qualities of great personalities. His character and activities have delivered all the fallen members of this demoniac family. Lord Narasimhadev is very dear to this exalted personality, thus Prahlad Maharaj, along with his servants and all the denizens of Harivarsha, worships Lord Narasimhadev by chanting the following purpose. Jayadev Goswami's 10 prayers, worshipping the incarnations of Lord Krishna and Keshava, contain his name in this sense. For example, Keshavatmita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Jai Jagadish Jai Jagadish Keshavatmita Meena Sharira Jai Jagadish Keshavatmita Vamana Rupa Jai Jagadish. The word Jagadisha refers to the proprietor of the universes. His original form is a two-handed form of Lord Krishna, standing with the flute in his hands and engaged in tending the cows, as stated in Brahmasamhita. Chinta mani prakara sattva sukalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhir palakam Lakshmi sahastra sambhram sevyaha Govindamadi purusham aham nachami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes filled with spiritual gems and surrounded by millions of purpose trees. He is always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. From this verse, we learn Krishna or Govinda is the Adipurush, the original person. The Lord has innumerable incarnations, exactly like the innumerable waves of a flowing river, but the original form is Krishna or Keshava. Sukadev Goswami refers to Narasimhadev because of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was put into great distress by his powerful father, the demon Hiranyakashipu, apparently helpless before him. Prahlad Maharaj called on the Lord, who immediately assumed the gigantic form of Narasimhadev, half lion, half man, to kill the gigantic demon. Although Krishna is the original person, one without a second, he assumes different forms just to satisfy his devotees or to execute a specific purpose. Therefore, Jaydev Goswami always repeats the name of Keshava, the original personality of Godhead, in his prayers describing the Lord's different incarnations for different purposes. So it is explained that the Supreme Lord has all potencies, infinite, innumerable, vivid potencies. And in the various incarnations of Lord Krishna, although these incarnations are as powerful as the Supreme Lord, but what we see is the Supreme Lord Krishna, but what we see is that uh, various incarnations, owing to their various purpose and mission of the incarnation, they only exhibit or manifest a certain set of potencies and not everything. That is something which we can see classically. For example, Lord Narasimhadev does not exhibit any childhood pastimes because the purpose of the mission of the incarnation is protection, and therefore childhood pastimes don't fall in that category, so they are not manifested. Whereas in case of Lord Ramachandra, childhood pastimes are present. Lord Vamandev does not exhibit any fighting pastimes, for example. That's not. It's, so the incarnations of the Lord Prabhupada mentions two things. They are coming two reasons. One is the incarnations of the Lord. Another reason is these incarnations. Uh, so the prime reason why the Lord assumed various incarnations is to please or reciprocate in love with some of the other. And second, the mission. There is specific purpose. So whatever is needed for that purpose is exhibited by the particular incarnation. Although in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahmaji, from that candle analogy, explains that although they are almost equal to Supreme Lord Krishna in powers, but all powers are not exhibited owing to the mission. That is the point. But one thing we learn from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that the avatari is still in one sense a little different from all the avatars, because in the avatari, all the avatars reside. So Lord Krishna, the avatari, and in the avatari, all the avatars reside. That is why we see Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at different times in his Leela exhibiting the moods of different avatars. Varahadev at one point of time, and Krishna Chandra at one point of time, and Lord Ram, Shadbhuj. So the Lord, and sometime in the mood of Balaram, the Lord Chaitanya is asking, Parudi, Parudi. So he's exhibiting various pastimes. And the Lord is assuming different forms. And at one time when Shivasanan, the Lord was performing dramatics, the Lord came as Mother Rukmini. Nobody could recognize Lord Chaitanya. That is explained. It was such a divine feminine manifestation. Nobody could recognize that's Lord Chaitanya. So he played the role of the drama. So now we are reading Harivarshas, Srila Prahlad Maharaj prayers, which are sung by the residents of Harivarsha. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Tejase Avirbhava. Vajranatha Vajratamstra Karmashayan Bandhaya Namo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Atmani Bhuvishta Om Shram. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Narasimhadev, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possess nails and teeth just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. Purpose. In the Bhagavatam 4:22-39, Sanat Kumar speaks the following words to Maharaj Krishna. Yad Pada Pankaja Palas Vinasabhya Karmashayam Gratikam Udgratayanti Shanta Tadvannarektamatayo Yatayo Pirudra Shroto Ganastamaranam Bhajavasudevam. Devotees always engaged in the service of the doors of the Lord's lotus feet, can very easily become free from hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the yogis, the jnanis cannot stop the weaves of sense gratification, although they try to do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. Every living being within this material world has a strong desire to enjoy matter to his fullest satisfaction. For this purpose, a conditioned soul must accept one body after another, and thus has strongly fixed fruitive desires that they need. One cannot stop the repetition of birth and death without being completely desireless. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami describes pure bhakti or devotional service as follows: Anya vilashita shunya jnana karmadi anukulyena krishna shilana bhakti uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit again through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. This is called pure devotional service. Unless one is completely freed of all the material desires which are caused by the dense darkness of ignorance, one cannot fully engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, we should always offer our prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, who killed Hiranyakashipu, the personification of material desire. Hiranya means gold and Kashipu means a soft cushion or bed. So materialistic people always desire to make the body comfortable, and for this they require huge amounts of gold, and thus Hiranyakashipu was the perfect representative of materialistic life. He was therefore the cause of great disturbance to the topmost devotee Prahlad Maharaj, until Lord Nrsimhadev killed him. Any devotee aspiring to be free of material desires should offer his respectful prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev as Prahlad Maharaj did in this verse. Now, material desires are very dangerous. Why they are dangerous? Because we have only one way choice. If we want, we can install it in our house. But once we install, we don't have any power to eradicate. One way trap. So material desires exactly act like a virus and they multiply. How they multiply and how they grow is very strange. But it is completely beyond control. That is the point. Who can control? Only the Supreme Lord. And that is why Srila Prahlad Maharaj is teaching to all of us that yes, because of our wrong misdoings, in past so many lifetimes to stay in this material world, there are a lot of material desires haunting us. And it is beyond an individual's capacity to get rid of those desires, and therefore we should intensely take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Here Prahlad Maharaj is showing that intensely call out for the mercy of Lord Nrsimhadev, because by the power of Lord Nrsimhadev, all these material desires will be vanquished. rather effortlessly. And the Lord gave a demonstration of that. Now, the very representation, manifestation of material desires, Hiranyakashipu, vanquished just like a wasp, skill, effortlessly. The Lord, in that same way, vanquished Hiranyakashipu. So the Lord has the power to vanquish all material desires. Only if we seriously and sincerely and intensely and desperately take shelter of the Supreme God. Actually, the living entity is haunted by his or her own material desires. Material desires act like a ghost, they haunt us. And therefore, a person culturing and harboring material desires is completely lost in an ocean of fear. So fearlessness dawns only when the material desires subside. And therefore it is said that fearlessness, the platform fearlessness can only come about when one sincerely, seriously pray and call out for the Lord's mercy. Vajahure Srinandananda Abhay Charanananda. So therefore, if material desires are haunting us, one can remember Lord Narasimhadev. Radha is saying, look at Lord Narasimhadev, his teeth, his nails, they are like thunderbolts. They can crush this material desires, mountains of material desires into powder. By the Lord's power, crush it into powder. Therefore, let us intensely take shelter of Lord Narasimhadev. And because the Lord can crush all material desires. So that's a beautiful prayer, yes. Yes, that is true. Yes, because the Lord is completely focused for the cause of the devotee, and therefore whatever the devotee needs, the Lord exhibits. When Mother Yashoda, for her sake, the Lord manifested as a small child. The Lord did appear as a child on his own. His mother Yashoda's, mother Devaki's request that he became a small child. Otherwise, he came with Shankachakra Gada Padma, not ready to slay anyone. Like that. So he came in full. So the Lord always communicates with his devotees. Similarly, for the sake of the mission of the Lord, we should not try to waste our time and do time pass here and there, but one should surrender to the Supreme Lord and be available and ready to serve in the mission of the Supreme Lord. That will bring supreme glory to the world, to one's family, and to oneself. Yes. 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 She will certainly is all not getting money. So Ditya Benivesha, the other separate desire than the desire of the Lord. That is exactly what is the definition of material desires. What exactly is a material desire? Any desire separate from the desire of the Supreme Lord is a material desire. Ditya Benivesha is the definition of material desire. Yes. 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 We need guidance within and without. So therefore we request the Lord to give us the right guidance externally and internally, within and without both. Let's read further. Next line. Swasyastu Vishwasya Khala Prasidhatam Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Mithodhiya Manasya Padaram Jatata Bhukshaje Aveshatam No Matirapi Ahetuki. Translation. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all the envious persons be pacified. May all the living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga. For by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Shri Krishna. And always remain absorbed in thought of Him. But the following verse describes a Vaishnava. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Just like a desired tree, a Vaishnava can fulfill all the desires of anyone who takes shelter of his lotus feet. Prahlad Maharaj is a typical Vaishnava. He prays not for himself, but for all the living entities. Gentle, the envious, and the mischievous. He always thought of the welfare of mischievous persons like his father, Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj did not ask for anything for himself, rather, he prayed for the Lord to excuse his demoniac father. This is the attitude of a Vaishnava, who always thinks of the welfare of the entire universe. Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavatam Dharma are meant for persons who are completely free from envy. Parama Nirvatsaranam. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays in this verse, Phala Prasidhatam. May all envious persons be pacified. The material world is full of envious persons, but if one frees himself of envy, he becomes liberal in his social dealings and can think of others' welfare. Anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness and engages himself completely in the service of the Lord cleanses his mind of all envy. Manascha bhadram ajitadadokshiju. Therefore, we should pray to Lord Narasimhadev to sit in our hearts. We should pray, Bahin Narsimho, Hidaye Narsimha. Let Lord Narasimhadev sit in the core of my heart, killing all my bad propensities. Let my mind become clean so that I may peacefully worship the Lord and bring peace to the entire world. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given us a very fine purport in this regard. Whenever one offers a prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one always requests some benediction from him. Even pure Vaishnava devotees pray for some benediction as illustrated or extracted by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his example. Ainandatanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mamichame Bhavambu Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sitaduli Sadrisham Vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or the other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. In another prayer, Lord Chaitanya says, Mamajan Mune Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhaktira Hetu. Life after life, kindly let me have unalloyed love and devotion at your Lordship's lotus feet. When Prahlad Maharaj chants Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya, he prays for a benediction from the Lord. But because he is also an exalted Vaishnava, he wants nothing for his personal self-glorification. The first desire expressed in his prayer is Swasti Astu Vishwasya. Let there be good fortune throughout the entire universe. Prahlad Maharaj has requested the Lord to be merciful to everyone, including his father, a most envious person. According to Chanakya Pandit, there are two kinds of envious living entities. One is a snake, and the other is the man like Hiranyakashipu, who is by nature envious of everyone, even of his father or son. Hiranyakashipu was envious of his little son Prahlad, but Prahlad Maharaj asked a benediction for the benefit of his father. Hiranyakashipu was very envious of devotees. But Prahlad wished that his father and other demons like him would give up their envious nature by the grace of the Lord and stop harassing the devotees. Khala prasidata. The difficulty is that the khala is rarely pacified. One kind of khala, that is a snake, can be pacified simply by mantras or by the action of a particular herb. Mantra Shadeva Sarpa Khalakena Nivaryate. An envious person, however, cannot be pacified by any means. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that all the envious persons may undergo a change of heart and think of the welfare of others. If the Krishna consciousness movement spreads all over the world, and if by the grace of Krishna everyone accepts it, the thinking of the envious people will change. Everyone will think of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays, Shivam, Methodhiya. In material activities, everyone is envious of others, but in Krishna consciousness, no one is envious of anyone else. Everyone thinks of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that everyone's mind may become gentle by being fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna. Vajata Dadukshaje. As indicated elsewhere, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo, and as advised by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 1865, one should constantly think of the Lord's feet of Lord Krishna. Then one's mind will be completely cleansed. Cheto, Darpan, Marjana. Materialists always think of self gratification. But Prahlad Maharaj prays that the Lord's mercy will change their minds and they will stop thinking of self gratification. If they think of Krishna always, everything will be all right. Some people argue that if everyone thought of Krishna in that way, the whole universe would be vacated because everyone will go back home, back to Garden. However, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this is impossible because the living entities are innumerable, and one set of living entities is actually delivered by the Krishna consciousness movement. Another set will fill the entire universe. Srila Prabhupada is explaining a beautiful point in this book. Srila Prabhupada is saying, see, a pure devotee is not desireless, he is not blank, he is not monotonous, he is not static. Okay, is blank, is static, there's nothing to be achieved now, it's all done, it's all finished. So it's not like that. It's full of energy, vital. But the proof? The proof is a pure devotee has oceanic desires. For which type of desires? But not spiritual desires. For the pleasure of the Supreme. That's why Prabhupada is quoting, Hai Nanda Tanajagikara. Oh Lord, life after life may I go on serving you. So here Prahlad Maharaj is also asking benediction. What a beautiful benediction. He is asking, let there be good fortune for all the living entities in this world. He is asking, let the envious hearts of all living entities be pacified. So when we think of the Sir, this goes to show it's simply by learning to think and work and act. On the platform of the welfare of all the misery, oceanic misery in one's life gets evaporated. Ocean of misery gets evaporated. No more misery, actually. Simply by learning to think of the welfare of others, act for the welfare of others. So when we act for our own sense gratification, then the misery gets multiplied because desires get multiplied. But we think you'll start acting on the platform of welfare of others. Then immediately this uh, misery or anxiety gets washed. Prabhupada is making another point that you see Prabhupada is pointing out to Prahlad Maharaj, saying that okay, this is what the devotee is. He thinks of the welfare of everyone, the innocent, the envious, and the mischievous. So Hiranyakashipu is mischievous. Prabhupada gives the examples. Hiranyakashipu mischievous. And envious Prabhupada gives the example, everyone in this material world is envious. This is not. But if the envy subsides or calms down or gets evaporated, and the innocent nature of every jiva comes back. So, there's one more point Prabhupada mentions in the purpose. Yes. No, in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dictionary both are the same. Because when they become devotees, then their demoniac mindset and demoniac body or silly body that get destroyed. So both the same thing. And now Prahlad Maharaj is praying to the Lord that, okay, oh Lord, let them all have the change of mind, change of heart, and that is how if your mercy dawns on them, then they will be able to take up to Krishna consciousness. Now this is interesting. Now the point which comes further is, the Prabhupada is taking it further. Prabhupada is saying, okay, so if all living entities go back to God, it will remain in this material world. Prabhupada said, no problem. That is not a problem. This goes to show that there are so many living entities who are in a weight loop in this material world. They are in a weight loop. What is the proof? Our body has, I think, billion. How many cells in our body? Huh? With the 30 trillion cells in our body, every cell has a soul. That means for one, only one soul is allowed to occupy the seat of the fully conscious human. And 33 million, 36 million souls are simply in a wait. So, so that is the point. So therefore, if all these prime souls occupying human bodies, all of them go back to Godhead, at least the waiting list is 33 trillion. Yeah. Is it? So therefore, Prabhupada is telling, don't worry, material world will remain as it is, and those who want to remain in the material world, they will also remain as it is. Yeah. Uh, yes. They should follow Bhagavad as it is and go back to God. That's the point. That's the point. Yeah. So does thinking of the welfare of others only increase the pious activity? No, because we don't just think of material or mundane welfare. We think of holistic welfare, welfare for the body, welfare for the mind, welfare for the soul. So therefore, it is not just pious activity. So we are not just thinking of bodily welfare. So, so therefore, it is not just a pious activity, because we are thinking of the full welfare, including the welfare of the soul. Okay, let's read further. So this is text 9. And then let us go to text 10. Yes. Magaratharatmaji Vittabandhushu Sango yadi syad bhagavat priyeshu naha Yaha pranavritya paritushta atmavan Yati aduran tatatendriya priya Yes, that is true. If we accept Krishna Prasada, we are actually benefiting so many living entities in the body. Therefore, we should strictly accept only Krishna. So, my dear Lord, we pray that we may never feel attraction for the prison of family life, consisting of home, wife, children, friends, bank balance, relatives, and so on. If we do have some attachment, let it be for devotees whose only dear friend is Krishna. A person who's actually self-realized and who's controlled his mind is perfectly satisfied with the bare necessities of life. He does not try to gratify his senses. Such a person quickly advances in Krishna consciousness. Whereas others who are too attached to material things find advancement very difficult. But when Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was requested to explain the duty of a Vaishnava, a Krishna conscious person, he immediately said, Satsanga Tyagai Vaishnavas. The first business of a Vaishnava is to give up the association of persons who are not devotees of Krishna and who are attached to material things, wife, children, bank balance, and so on. Prahlad Maharaj also prays to the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he may avoid the association of non-devotees. Yes, so Prahlad Maharaj also prays that he may avoid the association of non-devotees attached to the materialistic way of. If he must be attached to someone, he prays to be attached only to a devotee. A devotee is not interested in unnecessarily increasing the demands of the sense gratification or demands of the senses for gratification. Sorry. Of course, as long as one is in the material world, one must have a mental body and it must be maintained for executing devotional service. The body can be maintained very easily by eating Krishna Prasad. Just Haribol, so only take Krishna Prasad. And that's how So one should just take Krishna Prasad and serve Krishna for it. The body will be maintained very easily just by Krishna Prasad. So what kind of prasad? We just sing Mahaprasad, go in there and then open our eyes and whatever is there on the plate, we just accept. Say Namit Bhav, Radha Krishna. Again. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:26, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo me bhaktiya prayachhi Tadaham bhakti uparitam nashnami prayatatmana. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Prabhupada said, why should the meal be unnecessarily increased for the satisfaction of the tongue? Devotee should eat as simply as possible. Otherwise, attachment for material things gradually increase and the senses being very strong will soon require more and more sense enjoyment. That is the real business of life, that is to advance in Krishna consciousness, will stop. Yeah, then the real business of life, that is to advance in Krishna consciousness, will stop. जीवेरा लालसा इत्युदिधाय शिष्णुधर परायण कृष्ण नहीं पाए. And therefore, Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction, the one who wants to become serious in Krishna consciousness, as Bhalana Kaibo, Bhalana Paribo. Don't eat opulent food. And don't wear opulent dresses. Gramya Katha na kahibo, Gramya Katha na sunibo. Don't indulge in gossip. Okay, discuss about Krishna. We can discuss about service, about mission, but not Gramya Katha. Yes. So, there's a point. So this verse, Prahlad Maharaj is talking about this mundane family life, simply increasing the material opulence, the wife, the children, the wealth, the property, the home, and the friends and the society. We can only be saved from the menace of this mundane family life by entering and accepting Krishna's family, Vaishnava's family, the Acharya's family. You see, Bhagavatam mentions about Dehatma Buddhi. What is Dehatma Buddhi? Anything which comes out of my body is very divine, special. Yeah, it looks very cheap, but this is exactly what it is. So you see, this is Dehatma Buddhi. Because this come out from my body very, very, very glorious. Something like that. Dehatma Buddhi. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Dehatma Buddhi, bodily consciousness. Anything which is related to my body is very great. And sometimes people will be people generally are living in a very small crowded place. It's like a matchbox. No, even a 3 BHK house in DLF Newtown Heights, like a matchbox only. Side direction? Yeah, they're like a matchbox, nothing else. So it may be the 30th floor of the building, but it's exactly like a matchbox. One is simply hanging. That's all. They have the wood, but person spend maximum time in his home. You think this is sweet home? What a ridiculous. Whereas small matchbox. That's all. Now, as a devotee, therefore, we need to come out of this Dehat Buddhi. Prabhupada is talking about it. Prahlad Maharaj is praying to the Supreme Lord. Please bring me out of this Dehat. So because Deha to Buddhi is all illusory. Why? Because the Deha, along with that whole Buddhi based on that Deha, is going to be destroyed. So what is the use of all that Buddhi and reasoning? The body itself is going to be destroyed. Then what is going to remember? So we were hearing the other day that okay, this one fellow, he was Zamindar and now he's born again in front of his own palace. But right now, then he was a cobbler or something like that. Then his own grandson is beating him. They had no buddhi. So the body lost. So this body and all these connections of the body are all futile. Connections to the body are all futile. Therefore, the devotee is praying. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is teaching us to pray to the Supreme Lord to get out of this entanglement of family life. But it is not possible unless we accept the Prabhupada, the Acharyas, and the Lord as our family. Let's read further. Yasangalabdham Nijavirya Vaidhanam Kirtam Mahusam Srishusadam Himanasam Harati Ajavanta Shuti Vir Gato Ankajam Kovaina Sevata Mukunda Vikramam. Associating with persons for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead Mukunda is all in all, one can hear of his powerful activities and soon come to understand them. The activities of Mukunda are so potent that simply by hearing of them, one immediately associates with the Lord. For a person who constantly and eagerly hears, very eagerly hears narrations of the Lord's powerful activities, the absolute truths, the personality of Godhead, in the form of sound vibrations, enters within his heart and cleanses it of all contaminations. On the other hand, although bathing in the Ganges diminishes bodily contaminations and infections, this process and the process of visiting holy places can cleanse the heart only after a long. Therefore, who is a sane man who will not associate with devotees? To quickly perfect his life. Who is the sane man who will not associate with devotees to quickly perfect his life? Bathing in the Ganges can certainly cure one of many infectious diseases, but it cannot cleanse one's materially attached mind, which creates all kinds of contaminations in the material existence. Now, however, one who directly associates with the Supreme Lord by hearing of his activities cleanses the dirt of his mind and very soon comes to Krishna consciousness. So the Goswami confirms this in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, it's 1 to 17. Shadmatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Vidyantasto his Abhadrani Vidunoti Suvisatam. The Supreme Lord within everyone's heart becomes very pleased when the person hears narration of his activities. And he personally cleanses the dirt of the mind to the listener. Vidya Antostohi Abhadrani Vidunoti. He washes up all the dirt from the mind. Material existence is caused by dirty things within the mind. If one can cleanse his mind, it immediately comes to his original position of Krishna consciousness. And thus his life becomes successful. Therefore, all the great saints in the devotional line very strongly recommend the process of hearing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to give everyone a chance to hear Krishna's holy name. Or simply by hearing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. One becomes purified. Eto Darpan Marjana. Thus, our Krishna conscious movement is chiefly engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra all over the world. And after one's mind becomes cleansed by chanting Hare Krishna, one gradually comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness. And then read books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Charitamrita and the next devotion. And this way, one becomes more and more purified of material contamination. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Bhagavate Uttamastu Bhakti Bhakti Naishti. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed. And loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. In this way, simply by hearing of the powerful activities of the Lord, the devotee's heart becomes almost completely cleansed of material contamination. And thus his original position as an eternal servitor, who is part and parcel of the Lord, becomes manifest. While the devotee engages in devotional service, the passionate and ignorant modes of material nature are gradually vanquished. And then he acts only in the mode of goodness. At that time, he becomes happy and gradually advances the Krishna. All the great acharyas strongly recommend that people be given a chance to hear about the Supreme Lord. Then success is assured. The more we cleanse the dirt of material attachment from our hearts, the more will be attracted by Krishna's name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, etc. An activity. This is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. Okay, so let's stop here for today. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Hari Bol.